Hello again. I'm going to be teaching a writing mini lesson. Again, I don't have a real class with me, so I'm going to be teaching my imaginary students, John, Paul, George, and Ringo again. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so who remembers when we read the memory string? Y'all remember? Yeah? Okay, so what was your favorite part? Yes, so I love that part as well when they all helped the little girl to put the beads back on the string. That was a really good part. Okay, so did you notice that there was tons of examples of imagery in that book? Do you know what imagery is? No. So imagery is very descriptive writing. So like visually descriptive. And has like figurative language so that the reader is able to see what is being told, like they can see it in their head, they can imagine it, which is why it's called imagery. So it's very descriptive so that you can tell what's going on in the story without needing pictures. So that's what imagery is, and this book was full of it, full of examples. So we're going to be working on imagery today. So what do you notice about imagery? Does it make you feel something? Does it make you imagine something? George? Yeah, so George said that imagery, like in a book, it makes it easier to see what is going on, what's happening. It's kind of like, he said, it's kind of like a movie in your head. Like you can just picture everything. So, do you think that imagery helps convey what the author is trying to show you? Do you think that like it helps the author and also like conveys like the tone of the story? Yeah. So if the author has really good imagery in their story, in his or her story, then you can tell not only what's going on or what it looks like, but how the characters are feeling and their emotions. So what does the author want you to know with this imagery? Yeah, he wants you to know like how the characters are feeling, how they're reacting, how what the scene looks like, the setting. And so what do you think books would be like if authors didn't write with imagery? It'd be boring, right? It'd be really boring. Because if you just said like the boy was sad, like it's kind of boring, you know? Like you get the picture, but if you said the boy's eyes started welling up with tears and his voice cracked as he tried to speak, you can tell not only is he sad, but he's like really sad. You can picture it. You can see the tears in his eyes. You can hear his voice cracking in your head. Like it's just easier to imagine. So this is why it is so important to use imagery in your writing, especially for the STAR test coming up, because you have to do, for fourth graders, you have to, there's a writing star and you have to write an essay for it. So including imagery in your own writing can help you not only get a better score, but just be able to explore your writing abilities and be super creative. This is going to allow you to be so creative with your writing, and you can do so many things if you use imagery. Okay, so we're gonna do an activity, okay? So I have a sentence written down. So I have, the car drove down the street. So you can kind of see that, right? The car drove down the street, okay? But what we're gonna do as a class, you are going to help me spice this sentence up a little bit, okay? And we're gonna go as far as we can trying to get this sentence to be super fancy, super snazzy, okay? And we're gonna be as descriptive as possible, okay? So I'm going to, you're gonna take turns giving me something to add to the sentence, okay? So right now I have the car drove down the street. How can we make this more descriptive? George. You can add the color of the car. That's a good idea. So what color should we make it? Red? Okay. So we have the red car drove down the street. Okay. What else can we add? Paul? Can we use a different word instead? Yes, you can. So what would you like to say instead of something else? Okay, so instead of drove, you want to say speeded. Right word is sped. The red car sped. Is that right? Speeded, sped down the street. Sped. Yeah, sped. Had a brain fart. Teachers get brain farts too. Yes, the car sped down the street. Okay. Or we could use raced. Do you like that instead? I like that too. The red car raced down the street. That's a good one. Okay, so that's what we have now. Okay. The red car raced down the street. Instead of street, what can we say? Is there like, can the street have a name? John? Okay. Yeah. So we know what, 5th Street? The red car raced down 5th Street. So we'll take out the. Red car raced down 5th Street. Okay, what else? What kind of red are we talking about? Is there like, do you think it's maroon? Do you think it's dark red, bright red? Cherry red, I like that. The cherry red car raced down 5th Street. Can we add more to the sentence? We don't have to keep changing the sentence we have. We can add more to extend the sentence. What do you think about that? Cherry red car raced down 5th Street. Yeah, so sometimes cars will leave tire marks, right? So you think the cherry red car raced down 5th Street, leaving black tire marks on the road. Nice. So yeah, so this is just an example of how you can spice up any sentence, really. So, because we started with the car drove down the street. So now we have the cherry red car raced down 5th Street, leaving black tire marks on the road. And so do you see how that is easier to picture in your mind? It's a more specific picture in your mind than just the car drove down the street. Yeah. So this is something to think about when you are writing, not just for the star, but just for fun. If you write stories, and I encourage you to do that because that's awesome. If you write stories and stuff like that, be super descriptive, and that is a way for you to be so creative, and just really whoever reads it can picture it better in their minds, okay? So that was a good practice. So now what I want you to do, I'm going to give you another sentence, and individually you are going to try to spice up that sentence as well, just like we did here, okay? So your sentence is going to be, the cat jumped over the dog. That is your sentence, and that is what you're going to spice up. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to add whatever you can by yourself to make the sentence more fancy and spice it up. So let's see what you can do. Okay, 5 minutes has gone. Okay, so I'm gonna see what y'all have done. Okay, so John, let's see what you said. John said, the lazy, fuzzy gray cat leaped over the brown spotted dog. That is really good. That's awesome. You added lots of adjectives and you changed the word jump to leaped. I like that. Very descriptive. Fuzzy gray cat and brown spotted dog. I like that a lot. Ringo says, so Ringo changed it up a bit. He added like a situation, like a story. Ringo said the cat was in a hurry to get to his food, so he jumped over the dog to get to it. That's pretty good. That's creative. Added a little situation. Okay, Paul said, the orange cat jumped over the really fat dog. That's good. You added some adjectives, added gray over the really fat dog. I can picture that. My dog is kind of fat, so I can picture that. And George says, ooh, this one's really good. George said, the Mancoon soared over the Great Dane who was asleep on the couch. I like this because he was specific with what kind of cat and what kind of dog. And that's something that we could have done with our sentence. We could have said like the cherry red Corvette like sped down the street or whatever. So I like that. You gave like the specific kind of animal. I like that a lot. Okay, so that is all I have. That was our closure, just checking for understanding. And I think they all got it. So any modifications that I would make, those who like need modifications, I could have given them a sheet of paper with like multiple choice questions that have different varieties of sentences, or like the same sentence but with different descriptions, and they could have picked which sentence they thought had the best imagery, and that way they wouldn't have to like write their own sentence, and just pick the best one, and they'll still understand the importance of imagery. And then for accommodations, I would just let kids who need it, they can type their sentences like these that they did on their own. They could type them instead of writing them. So yeah, that is all I have. Thanks for watching.